I want to share this with you because the truth is most people, most entrepreneurs spend so much time focused on the outside. And I spent most of my life as an entrepreneur focused on how do I get the right strategy? How do I figure out my marketing plan? All the things I thought I needed to do to scale my business. And when I figured this piece out, it felt like it completely unlocked a whole new era of growth and expansion in my business in a way that felt effortless, in a way that felt like I wasn't pushing and grinding and trying so hard to make things happen. And this is the piece that I think if entrepreneurs understood this and really practiced this, it would completely change your life. Like literally, if you want to make more money, you want to grow and scale, you want to be able to experience abundance in your business, this is the piece. This is what it's actually about. So last night, I'm watching a training from a former mentor of mine, and she's talking about sales. I noticed I had this little just trigger come up is the best way to describe it. Like I felt like a little activation like in my chest, and it was like, oof, I almost feel like there's like some guilt here for me, or like some like thing underneath this that's like coming up when I'm hearing her talk about sales. So I noticed this and I was like, oh, I get really excited when these things come up because I'm like, ooh, this is my work. This is showing me like a piece of myself, and I know my next level is behind this or beyond this if I can just like actually do the work. What I did in that moment was I opened internally, and I basically what I said was, God, I'm open and available to seeing this differently. And so later that night, I just had this intuition. I was like, okay, I need to sit down and do some parts work on this. So I laid in bed and I put my hand over my heart and I brought up that feeling. I connected with that part of me that was feeling triggered, and I realized I had a lot of guilt. I had a lot of guilt come up around selling things. I felt that guilt, and I connected to the part of me that was feeling that guilt. I ask a question to that part. I say, when was the first time that you felt this guilt? And I opened, and I didn't try to figure it out with my mind. I just let my subconscious like pull up whatever the memory was. It was like, poof. This memory came up for me when I was like 12 or 13 years old. And I remember there was this friend of mine that I had. And I remember one day we had some kind of conversation. I think I said something like jokingly, I made fun of her or something that I actually feel like really bad about now. But I remember later that day, she came to me and she was in tears, and I'd never seen her like this before. And she came up to me and she showed me her arms, and her arms had all these cuts down her arms. And she said, you made me do this, or something like that. Like, you hurt me so bad that you made me do this. It makes me like want to cry even thinking about it, that she was in so much pain. And I remember the guilt that I felt, like the tremendous, overwhelming feeling of guilt, of just like, oh my God, like I caused this. That was my interpretation at that time in my life. And I realized this subconscious guilt had been lodged in my nervous system. And so I cried and I cried and I cried last night. And I just felt that like for the first time in like 20 years. Like I hadn't even thought about it. And so I felt this pain, and I just allowed myself to like be fully with this. And I moved through it and just felt it fully. And then on the other side of this, I realized I had been telling myself this story, this story that I had caused this beautiful woman's pain, and it wasn't mine. It wasn't mine. She had been experiencing this pain in her life, and she had basically projected that onto me. You know, I said some things that I am not happy about, but I mean, it was maybe a mistake, but on the other side of this, I was like, oh, like I just was holding on to this guilt that wasn't mine. Like it wasn't mine to hold. Like there was no reason to be guilty. Like we were just like two souls trying to figure it out, doing the best we could. And she was in a lot of pain, and I was like a 13-year-old kid doing my best. And it was just this opening, this liberation, this realization that like what was there was actually just a story that I was telling myself. And so why am I sharing this? What does it have to do with business? Everything. Because when it comes to actually scaling and growing a business, when it comes to like whatever resistance I was feeling about like sales, what it really was just this like 13-year-old boy inside me that was holding on to this guilt that I never allowed myself to fully process. I've been building businesses for so long, and I've helped and supported over 1,000 entrepreneurs, and I've walked with them and I've given them strategies, and I've seen like what actually makes the difference, what actually allows entrepreneurs to truly scale and grow their business. And the truth is, it's not the strategies. Like the strategies are convenient scaffolding, but the thing is, if you've got these subconscious patterns and resistance and things that are going on, it doesn't matter. Like you'll self-sabotage, right? And on the other side, as I've done this work, as I've met these parts of myself, as I've used those triggers and those moments where my business shows me something, it's like a mirror. Oh my God, like I'm seeing that there's this deeper part of myself that's coming up for healing, and I do that work. What I notice is my business just expands and grows, and there's this beautiful, effortless expansion happening. And I get so excited about this because every time this happens, and I've been doing this work in various forms for years, and this is what's allowed me to grow and just feel this lightness of being and joy and radiance, and like you can feel the energetic of it, because when there's no guilt, when your pipes are clear, you can show up in this beautiful, radiant way. Sales is easy. Growing a business is easy. Marketing is easy. I just want to give this to every single entrepreneur, because this is actually the thing. This is the work that we're doing inside the collective. This is where business becomes a spiritual path, where we get to do this internal work, where your business becomes a vehicle, not just for external growth, for more clients, more income, more impact, but internal expansion. Because what I've learned is when you can grow your business from the inside out, when business becomes a vehicle for your own inner journey, your business expands naturally. As you expand on the inside, as you heal, as you let go of more of the layers and blocks holding you back from your fullest, most expansive expression in life, then the business rises to meet you. That is how it works. I'd love nothing more, if you're feeling called to this work, than for you to join us inside. There's a link in my bio, maybe down below if you're watching this on an ad or something like this. I just feel so liberated, so free, so excited about what's to come, this work, and I want nothing more than to share this with you.